Hello, Brian. If you've never seen these videos before, I'm just going to introduce myself to a viewer. I'm Addie Hosier, and I help manage the outreach training program for the OSHA Training Center that services California, Nevada, Arizona, Hawaii, yay, and some other islands in the Pacific, American Samoa, Guam, and there's probably others I don't know. So my geography could be better. So what I like to do is talk to some outreach trainers that for one reason or another have sort of an interesting scope or an interesting background or just a unique perspective on things that I've had a chance to get to know over some years. And today I want to introduce Brian Smallwood, and he's going to tell you a lot more. About his background and kind of how he got into safety and other things like that. So I want to welcome you today, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you. I would say that my responsibilities in safety started probably in the mid 2000s when I really started stepping up as a technical director. That's basically the crew lead for scenic construction. And so making sure that people were building things in a safe way was part of my scope, but I was largely untrained at the time. So it was really more sort of intuiting what felt safe. And I was doing that thing where it's like, oh, that looks dangerous, so I'll do it. And I've basically been offering OSHA classes, mostly with a live entertainment focus, a lot of students in programs, but also during the pandemic, when there was not really a lot of live entertainment going on. A lot of my colleagues in the field were feeling really despondent. So I offered a pay what you can class, and some people could pay and some people couldn't. And I recently went to a conference and bumped into a whole bunch of my students from that class who all talked about how it was really important to them to feel connected to the community and like they were growing and developing, and having a conversation about safety and live entertainment was one of the things that helped rally them. So I thought that was really kind of wonderful.
So when you say scenic construction, I was going back to your early experience. Does that mean you're like have skills as a carpenter?
Yeah, scenery actually covers a lot of stuff. There's woodworking, there's metalworking, a lot of welding going on. Mm-hmm. There's also stage automation. So there's a lot of mechanical design. There's a lot of winch work that's going on. There's also some really custom theater systems that are in place, a lot of machines that we on that front. And there's a lot of rigging. And in fact, for those of you who might be in construction, there's overhead rigging with people under it.
So now you're in one of the Dakotas, right?
So I'm bouncing around. I'm the director of operations and production in South Dakota, but I'm also an associate professor and production manager in Virginia, in Harrisonburg, Virginia, where I'm calling from right now. So that's at James Madison University.
All right. Give me a sense of the scope of like yourself as an outreach trainer, just to kind of keep it with like my lane. How many classes do you think you've taught, or how many students over time? Because I definitely know you just renewed, and was it in 2020 that you renewed? Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I would say Zoom really opened up the possibilities for me in a big way. Most of the classes that I ran in Nevada were connected to UNLV, right? Okay. So they would be connected to their student body. I would run probably 2 OSHA 10s and 1 OSHA 30, over the course of the semester. Over the course of the pandemic, I ran 3 to 4 OSHA 30s as a pay what you can. And I've started, that also bred connections, right? So I routinely do, every year I do one at Temple University. Sort of remotely, we do an OSHA 10 for their students as part of one of their safety classes. Brevard, which is a conservatory in North Carolina, it's exceptional. I do a course for their folks in the summer. And then, the sort of ad hoc comes up every now and again, enough people come together, they want to do it. Because I'm working so much, I do have to sort of squeeze them in. So I probably do somewhere between 4 to 6 OSHA 10s across the year, and maybe 1 to 2 30s. It's harder to get people to invest in those.
Right. Well, time and money, right?
Exactly. What I am trying to do, and had some partial success with this, and for trainers who might be out there thinking about this, blending into academic situations, finding when they have a safety class and then making this a component of the safety class.
Right.
Where you're just sort of a guest presenter, you come in, maybe they've got adjunct money or a stipend for you, you know, they find ways to sort of fund it, but you sort of
Right.
blend into the system that's already there. And the nice thing about that is if they offer that repeatedly, that becomes
Yes.
sort of a steady sort of.
Yeah. And you become that person for them, that provider. Yeah, that's
So hitting up your
great.
local universities. And the other thing is that those universities, they usually have different colleges and different schools within the colleges. So even if you strike out with one, you could try to hit up another one. You check out the
Right.
architecture school, the engineering school, you know, try those different circuits and see what you find.
You know, Brian, that's a great point you bring up because I get a lot of questions from outreach trainers like, well, how do I get some business? Right. And I talk about kind of the main avenues, you know, reach out to contractors and, you know, see what kind of for construction, see what kind of projects are going on in your area. But certainly universities, community college, adult education.
So
Okay.
the idea that I can reach out to a broader community and bring them
Right.
in via Zoom really helps to sort of bring that number up. One of the things I try to do in my classes is lean into people's experience. And the
Right.
chat becomes really great for that because
Yeah.
some people don't want to speak up in a room,
Yeah.
but being able to type in sort of gives them an avenue to engage, which is really
It
nice.
is. What are some successes, like things you went, you know what? Maybe you found out that somebody didn't stand on the top step of the ladder and, you know, or they got back to you or something like that, or even within a class, some kind of success.
Well, you know, one of the things that's kind of funny about theater is they're very late to the game when it comes to safety. I think
Okay.
we avoided a lot of scrutiny for a long time, but then, you know, stages start collapsing and accidents happen, and all of a sudden the focus
Right.
is over and reality sets in. So one of my successes, I would say, was actually at UNLV, where we established a hard hat program. Prior to my being there wasn't really hard hats going on unless there were extremely special
How did
circumstances.
that go over? How was that accepted?
Well, it was tricky. You know, one of the advantages about a university is that there's a lot of turnover with the students, and the culture really rides with the students, right?
Right.
So some of them who were seniors who have been there the whole time, hard hats, this is new and different. Da, da, da,
That's
da.
hilarious.
You know, this is different. But then the people who come in, and then that's the policy when they start, all of a sudden that just
That's-
becomes the way that it is.
That's
right?
the way it is. Yeah.
And I remember one day I was walking on stage, I was just coming out, and I saw one of my students yelling to another student, "Hey, listen, get your hard hat on." And that was when I was like, "Yep, win."
That,
That's great.
yay.
There's anything else that I can do to help support the OTI's training initiatives or help with the marketing or anything like that?
Oh, you're so kind. And I really appreciate that, Brian, really a lot.
Sure.
That's great. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thanks so much for your time. This has been
Thanks
great.
for making the time.
Nice
This
to-
was super fun.
yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.